The auto industry is easily one of the worst affected sectors in the global economy. Here in India, shrinking sales last year, followed by supply chain disruptions and the grinding halt because of the national lockdown to combat COVID-19, has meant an existential crisis for many companies. And yet, since we began the process of unlocking, we've seen over 60 new cars and two-wheelers being launched. Across the price spectrum, it's raining cars and bikes. To understand how auto companies are riding out the crisis and how they anticipate consumer appetite to be revived for discretionary spending, I'm talking today to Tarun Garg of the Hyundai Motor Company. The Korean car maker is one of the most aggressive marketers in the industry and has had 4 launches since March this year. Now, the second largest auto manufacturer in the country believes that strong brands and intuitive understanding of people's needs will ensure that income levels don't get in the way of aspirations, and those numbers that they've experienced will turn around soon. Let's find out what's making Tarun Garg so confident. Thank you, Tarun, for joining us.
Thank you, Anuradha. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
All these launches across the industry, your company, I think 4, and if you include the venue with the new technology, then 5, and in January you had another car launch. So how do you explain the slew of launches since March?
Look, we at Hyundai have always believed that the best way to excite the market is new cars, new technologies. Even frankly speaking, even calendar year 19, which was not such a good year for auto, Hyundai managed to ride the tide much better, and because we had 4 launches, and now January onwards we again had so many launches. So this is really working very well for us because customers are wanting to really try out new products, new technologies. They are wanting to have automatics. Also, mind you, first April 2020 also marked the beginning of BS6. So I think this again opened up some opportunities for all of us.
We just saw those figures. When you see 0 for the month of April and then 6,000 or so the following month and then 20,000 in June. Give us an insight into a marketer's mind when you cannot get a sale done, when nothing moves, and when you're facing this experience. Nothing in your over 25 years in the auto industry would have prepared you for what you've experienced in the past 3 months, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. At the same time, we as marketers are very optimistic. So one thing which these figures don't reveal, that these are just the supply numbers. These are not the actual demand of the customer. So why April was 0? Because there was complete lockdown in the country, so we could not produce, we could not sell. But it's not as if customers did not want to buy. And I think customers have started buying. And June numbers also, if you see, these are the wholesale numbers. But the retail numbers were much better. And I think even the industry, we almost reached close to 75% of last year levels. And the way July is looking, we are actually looking at more than 90% of last year levels. So I think things are really improving. Now it's up to us to take this opportunity and give the customers they want. I don't think there is too much of an issue in terms of demand really coming back.
The big challenge across board, across industry sectors seems to be how will consumer demand be revived? How will we get people to go out and spend, especially big ticket purchases like a car is or a two-wheeler is? How will we get people to make these purchases given that there is anxiety and uncertainty in terms of job security?
You're right, Anuradha, and that is where I think as a marketer, we can do so many things. We realize that in these times, probably what is it which is bothering the customer? He has that maybe a fear of a job loss. So we came out with this very innovative EMI assurance program where we said, okay, if you take a loan from the bank and God forbid you manage to lose your job in the next 1 year, then 3 equal monthly installments we'll be paying on your behalf. So this is what we promised the customer, and this scheme had a very good response from the customer, not only from a commercial perspective, but I think customers realize that here's a brand which is showing some empathy to us and also, making the decision so much easier for us. Secondly, even on the finance front, we realized that many customers, they wanted that, normally all the EMIs are same. Suppose a customer takes a loan for 5 years. then all these EMIs are same every month. But we had a very innovative program where we said, okay, when you take the loan, the EMI will be less. Maybe the next year the EMI will go up, and as things move on, the EMI will keep on increasing. That gave a lot of assurance to the customer. Similarly, we had a scheme where suppose you had 60 installments, first 59 installments will be low EMI, and the 60th one will be a high EMI. So I think you need information in these times. You need to understand the customer needs and then design a program around those needs. I think then absolutely no issue. And this is what we have been witnessing. We have witnessed increase in our finance penetration. We are witnessing an increase in sales, market share. So I think things are looking up. At the same time, we must understand that corona cases continue to go up. That there is a second wave of lockdowns in the country. So very, very vigilant. We have to be careful because you cannot take things for granted. And you know that you have to be very agile, you have to be very adaptable, and you have to be very flexible to take the full advantage of whatever opportunity that comes up.
So, Tarun, there is this sense that the COVID-19 experience will change behavioral patterns going forward. Some people believe this very strongly, whether it's work from home increasing, and you hear large corporations announcing that this will continue for another 8 months, maybe even 12 months. This feeling that you can do pretty much almost everything that you need to get on with normal routine life through your internet connection, through your digital interface. Do you see consumer and customer and human behavior change because of the COVID-19 and the lockdown experience? And how does it impact your business and people's need to travel, people's need to use vehicles to move around, mobility?
I think it's a very valid question which is facing all the automakers. One thing which is definitely coming out is the customer's need for personal safety, hygiene. So, what was happening last couple of years was that many customers were moving to shared mobility, So, of course, we had these Olas and Ubers, which had made life very easy for the customer. But now we see that many customers, they want a personal mobility, and which has thrown in a lot of opportunities for the automakers, whether it is for new cars, entry-level cars, or even subscription models, which is smart mobility, where a customer does not need to buy a car, he can take a subscription. So those kind of things are really coming up. So that is one part of it. The second part of it is this whole digital thing, where again, we had this unique initiative of a click-to-buy platform. In fact, we had launched this much before the COVID had come in, because we were seeing a good traction of digital customers coming into the Hyundai fold. And I think it is doing extremely well. Our digital inquiries have now reached about 25% from the last year level of about 10%. And so many customers are coming to our website. They want to really find out about the product. They want to get the finance done automatically. They want to have a consultant help them also online. But mind you, one thing that is very interesting is the customers still want to take the delivery of the car from the showroom. Even when we offer them, sir, okay, we have a facility where we can deliver the car to your house or to your office. They say, no. Car buying is still a very, very emotional decision for me. I want to bring my family to the showroom, and I want to have that perfect experience of a delivery.
I guess there's a ritual element to that, isn't it? I think a lot of people tend to do that, and if they are Hindus, they'll do a little temple puja for the car or something, isn't it, after a new car is bought?
Extremely, absolutely well said. At the same time, one more thing which is very important, apart from the ritual part of it, please understand, for an Indian customer, you buy a car maybe once in 5 years, 6 years. It is a very special occasion. It's a very prized occasion for you, maybe after the house. So you really want to cherish that moment. I think this is what makes this journey very interesting. So digital, but at the same time physical, so maybe phygital. A mix of offline and online is what we are proposing, and what is really giving us some very good customer satisfaction, and some very good opportunities are being thrown up for us to take.
clearly digital has started playing a very, very big role. At some level, the research would happen on digital. Before you go in to check the car, you would do all your research online. And now you're saying that people are going beyond that and making the entire purchase online. That's what you're saying, right? So then what is the role and how does advertising, the typical kind of advertising that you associate with car brands, what role does that play?
I think this is a very valid question again, and yes, you are right. So customers are going on the digital space, exploring. They are much more sure about their purchase. At the same time, what Corona has done is customers are looking for much more empathy from the marketers. They are looking for much more events. So what has happened is the importance of content has really gone up tremendously. What is happening is that so much of content is being thrown out to the customers, and they have a plethora of choice. So they want, no, is this content relevant to me? And that is where I believe a very, very customized marketing is coming into the foray. I think that's very important. The second aspect is with all these, lockdowns happening in some states. So marketers earlier used to have a very pan-India kind of approach. Okay, maybe a spray and a pray.
Yeah.
But now, no. I think now we need to be really much more focused. I know that, okay, ABC markets are open, maybe D market is closed. So I will need to find a way to really attack the ABC market. So the conventional mediums of, whether it was print or television. So we have to be much more, careful how we are using these mediums. Maybe use the local page more effectively. And of course, digital is the way to go. And I think as far as Hyundai is concerned, we saw in the lockdown, through a very effective Hyundai Cares program, where digitally we were really able to connect with our customers, and it really gave us some very good customer feedback. Then it also generated so many inquiries for us, so many bookings, and that is one reason why the moment this lockdown opened, we are talking about a normalcy coming much faster than anybody had anticipated.
Does that also suggest that I would be a much more serious customer, or perhaps far easier? The conversion would be far more certain when it comes to somebody who uses the digital route to access your products?
Absolutely. In fact, let me tell you, I would mix digital here with also the post-COVID behavior of the customer. The post-COVID era, if the customer is really coming, making an effort to inquire,
he is a serious buyer.
And I'll give you some data points to suggest this. Last year, our inquiry to retail on an average took about 20 days. 20 days. Now, in the post-COVID era, inquiry to retail is taking 9 days. So just imagine how much faster the whole process has become. Also, I think it is kudos to our supply chain, because, when April, you mentioned about zero sales, but, we have seen that India is a very resilient market. In the past, whether it was Lehman Brothers crisis or any other crisis, Indian market was responding very fast. So we were fairly confident about the volumes going forward. So as sales and marketing, we were able to communicate with our supply chain, and they got this confidence, and they made the vendors ready. Our production was ready, our manpower was ready, and that is why we have been able to, because we know the customers are serious. They want a delivery much faster because they are wanting to have a car, because public transport is still not open at most places.
So now give me the role that advertising is playing. Big ticket, the brand film. We just saw you release a Shah Rukh Khan led Haq Hai Hamara Hyundai corporate brand film, right? You have the Verna ad film. So what role are ad films, advertising in the conventional sense across traditional media? What role are these playing for you today?
I think a very, very important role. The only thing is the way we used to think at advertising has changed, like I mentioned to you. Now let's talk about this corporate film. Now, this was a time when, India was coming out of a lockdown, and I know I was in lockdown, of course, for so many days, and
Yes.
people would want it to come out. They would appreciate much more what they can do for the communities. At the same time, they know that the life has to go on. Corona or no Corona, life still has to go on. I think that film was able to really connect very well with the audience. Also, as HMI, I think the way we were able to really stand, work very closely with the government of India, whether it was in terms of our corporate social responsibility, PM Care Fund. I think the whole message is yes, we are here together. It is our job to make sure that the Indian economy comes back to normalcy very soon. And here I take a lot of pride. You would know that we were the first company of the blocks in terms of production. We announced that yes, our production has started and we produced 200 vehicles on the first day after the lockdown opened. It was such a proud moment for all of us. So advertising you talked about. So like I said, empathy, very, very important. Then this new launches you talked about. I mean, who would have thought that we'll go for a online launch? And we had dimension, I think, which was really very, very appreciated. And more than, I believe already more than 40 million views have already happened, both on the corporate film as well as the Next Dimension event, where the whole idea was, in 35 minutes and, in less than 4 weeks of preparation, we could really inform the customers about three great products of Hyundai.
So what proportion of your marketing spend would go to traditional media and how much of it would go to digital? How are these decisions changing as a result of the role that digital is playing where auto marketing is concerned?
Look, I cannot divulge the entire figures, but let me tell you, digital's percentage in the total spend has definitely doubled this year. What it was in calendar year 19 already.
But does it have the lion's share yet where you're concerned? Does it have the lion's share where Hyundai is concerned?
Surely it has a lion's share, if you take all the media, whether it is the print, television, because the BTL is almost, it has really, really reduced dramatically because you cannot do traditional events. And, we have so many local teams used to do so many activities. So you have to really innovate. You have to see how you can reach the customer. And digital really provides us that platform. At the same time, I think television as well as the print is also very relevant.
I've been hearing a lot of media buyers talk on behalf of marketers and say that, marketers expect digital advertising, especially when it is via the tech giants, whether it's Facebook or Google or YouTube. They need more transparency. Do you have a comment on that?
Look, I would say that we're all in the learning phase as far as digital is concerned. The good thing about digital is that the measurement is very, very strong.
Yeah.
You have now programmatic buying, which gives you so much of flexibility and again measurement. So my point is, whenever we have talked about advertising, there has always been a question mark about how do you measure the effectiveness of an advertising. I think digital has really brought us much closer to that that great way of actually monitoring your spends and monitoring the efficiency of these spends, monitoring the deltas which you are getting over the. So this is where I think a lot of things are happening. At the same time, I fully understand that it's a learning for all of us because digital started very late in India, and in fact, we use all these opportunities to really get our teams trained on how to really effectively use the digital media. So I would say that all the other mediums have to really understand the needs of the marketers, especially in these times when every rupee spent is being questioned, to really come out new and innovative ways of really bringing in those efficiencies into the whole thing.
The trend is normally that when the economy is in the zone that it has been, over the last year, where it is today, where people are talking about GDP shrinking, no growth at all. Where do you see ad spends go for your industry, for your company? Do you see ad spends coming down dramatically?
Frankly speaking, no, I don't think so, because it all depends on how much ammunition you have. Like I said, as far as Hyundai is concerned, so many new models we have launched, so many new technologies we have launched, and of course now going forward we have so many new things again coming up. So it all depends. If I have a good product, if I have a new technology, for example, now I have a IMT technology, intelligent manual transmission. Probably this will change the way so many years people have been driving manual cars. And maybe they will be upgrading to automatic cars. So I will need platforms to really communicate this very effectively to the customers. So as long as marketers have products and technologies to communicate to the customers, I don't see too much of ad spend really coming down dramatically, like you mentioned. At the same time, I think we all have to be very responsible. We understand, like you mentioned, that April zero sales, May, so it is all affected our revenues. So we are very responsible for every rupee spent. So we have to find ways to bring in more efficiencies and more innovativeness into the whole system of communication.
The EV is the big new discussion point. We know that India is not ready when it comes to infrastructure. What is your sense about how India will adopt, or the Indian consumer will react to this if the infrastructure is ready and if price points are affordable?
Look, I think India has made a very bold step towards cleaner mobility. As you know, we straight away moved to BS6 from BS4. We did not come to
Yeah, we
BS5.
skipped BS5, isn't it?
Yes, we skipped BS5. So I think it's a tribute
At great
and a
cost to
huge,
the industry.
yes, but still all the OEMs really,
Yeah.
showed their metal, and their R&Ds really worked, right through to really make this happen. And we marketers are very thankful for that. Especially in Hyundai, we had a BS6 petrol and a diesel and a CNG with so many new models also coming in. So our R&D team has done a great job. Regarding EVs, we launched a Kona EV in 2019 when actually very few players were actually talking about EV or a feasibility of a EV. So we strongly believe at Hyundai that somebody has to take a lead, and we took that lead. Yes, this corona, these oil prices, maybe the investments could be, here and there 1 or 2 years, but the direction towards cleaner mobility has already begun. And we have already announced that maybe 2 to 3 years time we'll bring a mass market EV as well, and from there on more models. So I think the direction is there. At the same time, I think the petrol and diesel IC engines will also continue to coexist, because India, like I said, India is a land of opportunity. And even if EV makes inroad, I think there is space for all kinds of cleaner mobility. So in the BS6 era, petrol, diesel, and of course EV, CNG, I think all will coexist. It's up to you to really keep on improving, and giving more and more value to the customer.
Tarun, we are now, 3 months. The first quarter of the new fiscal is is behind us. Do you see this year, at least halfway into it, do you see this fiscal being a better one for the auto industry than the last one?
Look, I'll tell you very frankly, I think again this corona has made us look at the situation very differently. Earlier, we were all making 1 year plan, okay, I'll do this. But I think we are much more agile, and we look at every month as an opportunity. And I think all our systems have become much more flexible, including supply chain and production. So we are not thinking too much far ahead that what will happen in this financial year. Like I said, July, we will be more than 90% of last year. Things are only going to hopefully improve from here on. So let's take it month by month. I can only say one thing, that the way the corona situation is there in India, I mean, if we keep that in mind, the way people were really predicting a kind of a doom for the economy, I think auto industry has shown much more resilience than that. Very clearly, the way things are shaping up, both whether it is passenger vehicles or whether it is two-wheelers, I think we're all very proud to be a part of this great Indian auto industry. And I strongly believe that here the normalcy will come much sooner than some of the other sectors.
Well, that's a great note to end this conversation, Tarun. I like the marketing person's, optimism that shines through. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe. All good luck to you and your team and colleagues at Hyundai.
Thank you, Anuradha. It was really, really very good interacting with you, and all the best to you. And stay safe. You too.
Thank you. And thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again with another conversation, another deep dive. So do tune in. And in the meanwhile, stay tuned to CNBC TV 18.